keep on working, and we want to make a hamburger menu here. Okay, so I am going to look in the Chakra UI docs, and looks like I have found the section. All right, this looks like a drop-down menu. All right, and here we have our hamburger menu. So that is what we are going to work with. All right, so I'm going to go to my hamburger menu.tsx file, and I am going to copy this menu, and instead of this box here, I'm going to paste it in. I'm going to go ahead and import all of these missing imports and get rid of box because we're not using it. I want to import my hamburger icon, but I'm having a hard time getting the icon. So I'm going to go ahead and find the import here. It's not super helpful. Let me find icon. All right, here is an import statement for icons, and I am going to add hamburger icon to the imports. So I'm not going to worry about an icon or a command for my menu items. So I'm going to go ahead and delete those. But I'm going to save it and take a look. Okay, so if I make my screen smaller, now you can see that I have my hamburger icon and my menu pops up. All right, so I am going to now take a look and see if I can do color scheme green. I don't know if this is how it works, but I'm going to try. Okay, and then I'm going to get rid of the variant outlined, and yeah, that already looks better. All right, that looks good to me. So now we just need to create the menu list, okay? And that is where we are going to pass in our pages, and that will be of type props. So let's do type props is equal to pages, which is going to be of type page and an array. So then let's import that type from header. All right, and now here we can delete all of these because we're actually going to map through pages. So we say pages.map page, and we are going to return menu item with page.name. All right. Now it's mad at us because on our header we are not passing in that component, that prop, but now we are passing in pages. So now you can see that we have projects and account details. But if I click on it, nothing happens because we're not actually including the link. So let's go grab that from, excuse me, the full menu. And let's do and let's add box. Let's see if this works. All right, link I don't want there. I want link from React Router. Perfect. Okay, let's see if that works. It doesn't look great. Okay, so we need to make this menu item, and we're gonna do page.name. All right, that looks better. projects, account details. Now let's style it by adding our layer style. It's going to be text. Can't really tell if that is the correct color. It kind of looks like it's still black there. So I'm going to do color instead, and then let's try red. Okay, so that works. Let's go ahead and go to theme to grab the color. And go back to hamburger menu and let's paste that in. All right, that looks good. So now let's get rid of that. Can we see the difference? Yes. Okay, so then let's try layer style again and see if that changes it. It's really hard to tell. All right, so let's inspect it. So it says color inherent. So let me paste the color in here and see if that does anything. Okay. All right, so that does make a difference. So I think we actually need to have the color defined. Okay, but now you can see that our header is working. All right, so if I pull wider, then I have account details, projects. If I pull in, then I have my account details and projects in a hamburger menu. And I didn't know that I was already shrinking that, but that's exciting. Okay, so let's go look at our header to figure that out. It looks like that's probably a portion of the code for, so let's look that up. Chakra UI heading responsive. Let's look at heading. All right, I'm gonna worry less about that, but let's go and look at our theme. All right, so now that is what we want to do next. Okay, we have is larger than 1,000, right, is going to shrink, but you can see we still potentially have an issue when we get smaller. All right, so if I turn on my dev tools, let's make this wider. Let's flip the iPhone, right? That doesn't look great in terms of the heading. So what we want to do is let's turn this back to responsive and let's try to figure out where it starts to look bad. So I feel like 575 is where we want. All right, so let's figure out what's happening. All right, so it looks like it's happening at 760 something. So 770, 769, 768, 767. So that seems to be the breakpoint. So let's add another breakpoint. Right, so let's just make it 775 though, just to be, okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to say font size is going to be, is larger than 775. Then we're going to do, let's try to figure out what font size this is first. All right. not, so it's an H2. So chakra UI heading. All right, so H2 looks like 2XL. So is larger than 775, we'll do 2XL. Otherwise, we will do XL. Let's try that. Let's take a look. All right, so it looks like we had it before, so it looks like maybe in theme. All right, let's look. So maybe it was bigger. So let's take a look. So let's try 3XL, 2XL. What is it here though? Looks like it's probably 4XL. And then 3XL. Does that look right? That looks right. Okay, so it starts out as 4XL, and then when we get smaller than 775, it changes to 3XL. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think we want to probably have another breakpoint, but let's just go ahead and do that with here too. So we have box size is equal to 80 pixels. All right, let's make that when it's larger than 775, then we'll make it equal to 80 pixels. Otherwise, let's make it equal to, let's say, 50 pixels. All right, I think that might be too small. I'm gonna go ahead and look at what I did. I did the same thing for my coding with Callie, but I made the breakpoint at a little bit smaller. I made the breakpoint at 600. I think I'm gonna keep the breakpoint where it's at here, and I think I'm going to try just to edit. Whoa, not 650. All right, so I tried 65, and I actually think that looks pretty good. All right. So yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So I think though we are going to need another breakpoint in there for when the screen size is super small. So let's take a look. So we're gonna drag this in. Okay, so we made it smaller. All right, but now you can see it's starting to get scrunched. So I think I'm gonna make another breakpoint at 500. So let's copy this, and I'm gonna paste it below here, and instead of 775, I'm gonna do 500. Okay, then I'm going to add a thing. So it's larger than 775, then we're gonna do 80 pixels. Then we're gonna do another is larger than 500, 65. Otherwise, we will do, let's say, 50 pixels. So if you look, then when I shrink it a little bit farther, then my icon is going to shrink even more. So let's do that here too. So we say is larger than 500. We're going to do 3XL. Otherwise, we're going to do, let's try 2XL. But I think we actually might need to still make it smaller because as it gets a little bit smaller, so let's just try XL then. All right, so that looks good. All right, so now let's actually try with the different, so okay, typically when I'm just kind of playing around with the breakpoints, I'll use just responsive and pull it in and out, right? Then when it's time to actually test, I'll go through and see how it looks on each different thing. So On the iPhone, I think it looks good. I think the gap between the logo and the project planning tool is too big. Okay, so that's where I would say is larger than 500 for, otherwise, let's try 2. Okay, that to me looks better. Okay, so then I would, once I fix that, then I would kind of look. So that looks good. That still looks good. And that looks good, okay? So that's kind of how I would do it. I would look at it at each different screen size, and I would make sure that I like it. All right, so at 390, I think it still looks good. I think probably here, in terms of the padding around, we could also, so it was 8, so we could say 4. Yeah, I think that looks better too. So then I would kind of start over. I'm curious if this can be a little bit bigger. Yeah, I actually like that. Okay. So that looks good to me. Maybe like, let's try 58. Okay. Let's look at it on each different type of iPhone. Looks good all across. Still looks pretty good, and that I think is the smallest one. All right, well, I'm pretty pleased. All right, so the Galaxy Fold looks like it's the smallest one. So I think I'd have to decide, am I fine with it looking with project planning tool, getting smaller, like getting this, like going on 2 different lines? Do I want to shrink it as much as possible? I think what I might want to do is I think I actually might want to hide the heading when it gets too small. So I'm going to say, if the screen size is smaller than 300, so then I'm going to say is larger than 300. And then we're going to say heading. Otherwise, we're to say nothing. I'm going to see what I think about that, because I think the rest of them are all above 300. All right, so do I like it without anything, or do I want it to say planning tool? So let's try that instead. Okay, so instead of this, let's get rid of that. Let's add the condition here now instead. Then let's say is larger than 300, then we'll return project planning tool, or we will do planning tool. All right, and then I think I like that better, but I think I might want to add one more breakpoint here, and then do like 50 pixels. All right, let's try 52. All right, I kind of like 50 better. All right, so I think that is going to be good. I think we can probably shrink that down a little bit more as well. So let's go back to our menu. And it looks like our menu button. Let's play around with size. Let's do size small. Okay. Medium. All right, so it looks like it was size medium, but it could be size small. All right, so I think that is where I want to do it to. So I think I'm going to pass in that prop. I'm going to say is larger than 300. I'm going to pass that prop into my hamburger menu. Like that. And I'm going to add it to my props. That's going to be a Boolean. And then I'm going to add it here. So I'm going to say if we're larger than 300, then we'll have a medium size icon button. Otherwise, we will have a small. All right, so let's go back to responsive. That looks great. I get down to, ooh, it looks like the breakpoint is, I think it should be 340. So let's go, we're going to find every instance of 300. All right, we're going to change that to 340. All right. And let's go in here and let's change this to 340. All right. So if we get lower than 340, it goes to planning tool. All right. I feel good about that. All right. So we have successfully made our project planning tool header responsive, and we will go ahead and start moving on to our pages next. I'll see you in the next video.